nicotine, and all of its shapes and forms that come with it: cigarettes, cigars, vapes, jewels, dipping tobacco, and whatever other way nicotine comes in. And as a guy who doesn't use it, well, frequently at least, I can tell this has a chokehold on a good amount of the population. Now, I don't know how many, but I'm pretty sure it has to be more than at least 20% of the people, who are legally able to use this product. And even, hey, some of the high schoolers, right? Even middle schoolers, let's be honest. And I'm scared to find out that it's even lower than that. But it genuinely feels like that dang near everybody uses nicotine. Like, I feel like everybody can count at least 5 people they know who use nicotine, maybe even 10. Especially if you're an adult, and especially if you work a job where it's common. Military, law enforcement, hospitals, stressful environments, all pulling this stuff into their body. Even when the box says could cause lung cancer, which I'm not blaming people for. I personally don't care. And if I was like that, I probably wouldn't care that it says that on the box either. Because there are definitely people who have lived on this earth who have smoked cigarettes every day and never caught lung cancer. Now, granted, one thing I was told is that back in the day, especially the 60s and 50s, where dang near everybody smoked cigarettes, they were way less addicting. Like, even doctors would smoke cigarettes back in the 70s, I was told, just because it was actually a really good way of, letting loose. It was a good break, 15 minutes. But, today I heard that they're just trying to get that money in. So, they want you to be as addicted as possible so that you continue to buy it, continue to get those cravings. And a lot of y'all might be like, man, these companies are evil. Oh, why do people do it? Blah, blah, blah. And then there's people who thought that they would never be into like nicotine. And then all of a sudden they just get this addiction out of nowhere. But a few of the stories that I have been told were peer pressure and then just, other stuff, right? Peer pressure being the main one. One of the examples that I heard that wasn't a peer pressure thing is from one of the supervisors at my job. He was telling me the reason that he started smoking cigarettes and started vaping was because when he was in the Marines, he was working long hour days. And the only way he can get a break every once in a while is if he take a smoke break. Because yes, in the military, smoke breaks are very common. And if you were ever just taking a break and not smoking, you were considered an asshole. So he one day just said, "Hey, give me one of those. I need a break." That's how he got into it, which is kind of a funny story if you think about it, or if that just makes you chuckle, right? And yeah, other than that, I think people are just going off what they think is cool, what they heard. I think cigarette vapes have became very common due to the advertising of it. You got different colors, different flavors. Who wouldn't what 20-year-old who's just coming into the real world wouldn't like watermelon flavored vape, cotton candy, cherry, and etc. Of course. Back when I first got to my first duty station, everyone hit that vape, man. Because the thing about a vape, especially in uniform, is that you're able to put it in a cargo pocket, a regular pocket, take it out, hit it real quick, and put it right back up. It's not like a cigarette where if it's lit, you gotta smoke that thing. Now, granted, you got pods, you got juice, you got things that you gotta put inside of the machine, but it's very usable and it doesn't let off a smell to where you would smell it and everyone would get a whiff of it. Now, granted, me, I'm not the biggest fan at all of cigarette smoke. I have never smoked a cigarette in my life. I've smoked one cigar and one cigarella. A cigarella might be considered a cigarette, but it was an Al Capone, right? It was flavored. Makes a big difference in my opinion. But yeah, those vapes were just really dope. Everyone was able to really use them. And the commercials say that vaping is worse than cigarettes. When, in my opinion, I feel like puff per puff, a cigarette is worse. I think the issue is a vape, you can use it all day. Now, granted, I've never hit a vape in my life, so I'm not trying to talk like this at the age of 50 or 60. Not saying that happens to everybody. I'm just kind of being comical. And yeah, but like they say, man, they say the vape is a contract almost. Like it's like a bad marriage that you really just don't want to be in. But it's like, well, I'm here already. It lets that ease off, which I heard was just the cigarette craving. I heard the cigarette craving is basically the thing disguising itself as stress. So when you smoke a cigarette or, hit a vape, that craving goes away. And that's what makes you think like, oh, the stress is going away. It's kind of like the thing with hunger and dehydration. The reason why you eat a bunch of snacks in between meals is because you're dehydrated, and dehydration disguises itself as hunger, and that's where that kind of comes in. But they're probably two completely different things. I eat and drink water every day. I don't smoke, so. And then we got dipping tobacco. That's another very common thing. I remember when one of my shipmates bought a Zen one time, a pack of Zens, and I had no idea how they worked. But they had this one flavor, wintergreen, and I like wintergreen flavored gum. So I wanted to try it, but he told me it might feel weird because he said the thing about dip, a slight sting in the corner of your mouth if you're not used to it. I granted don't know how true that is. That's just what I was told. So don't come for me in the comments. I remember people had dip when I was in high school. Like every bunch of people had dipping tobacco, and I never cared to use it. I never wanted to be a fan of tobacco ever in my life. Not even because the teachers were like, oh, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And we had all those lectures about how cigarettes and drugs are bad, and they showed the pictures of what people look like after they smoke cigarettes. I genuinely am one of those guys who just didn't want to smoke for the sake of I just didn't want to do it. Same thing with drinking, right? Now this video isn't about drinking, but I was the same way. I don't drink alcohol like that because I just genuinely never wanted to be a guy to drink alcohol like that. And in high school, it was the same thing with vapes. I remember vapes became really popping in my sophomore year. Now, I'm not saying that's when they were popping all around, but that's when I really started seeing them. And a good amount of other people really started seeing them. And I had friends who vaped. I had people try and put me onto vaping. And like I said, I had no interest in doing it. And that's why I sometimes look at, is peer pressure really a thing, or are people genuinely weak-minded to make their own opinion, and that's what causes them to make terrible decisions? But hey, that's just something for you to think about. I'm just saying, because falling to peer pressure is something I can look at and realize that it never ruined my life. I never made the worst decisions in my life based off peer pressure. I have did terrible things because of peer pressure. I have bullied. I've been a part of groups that were bullying other people because of peer pressure. I've made fun of people because of peer pressure, which a lot of us has done. Don't try to make me seem like some bad guy. But I've never made a crazy mistake or a crazy decision because other people were doing it and they wanted me to do it. Granted, I feel like we've all came close at least, but some of us just haven't went through that execution. And that's what a lot of things. That's not just cigarettes, alcohol, take it as you will. But yeah, no, so there was a vaping epidemic at my school basically. Everyone dang near had one. So, the bathrooms had became these things where they had to put up things on the wall like signs saying, "Hey, if you catch, activity yada 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 and you report it, we will reward you." Now, obviously, they didn't put the amount. Probably like $25, if I'm being honest. Probably not even that. It was probably like a gift card or something. I don't think. Can you give underage kids money on? And if my mom gets it, I don't know what she's gonna do with it. She probably ain't gonna give it to me. But yeah, they put those signs on the wall. And I was thinking, like, bro, I don't know what they think they're gonna get with this. Especially because in that age range of high school, 14 through 18, everyone is worried about snitching in that moment. Everyone who has the ability to snitch is trying not to snitch. Being a snitch was seen as reporting bad behavior, when in reality, snitching is when you are a part of something and then you don't like the consequences that come with it, so you rat out people who you were with. But yeah, so obviously, I don't think they got any names that year, and big waste of time probably. Now, granted, did I catch people? Of course. I'm not saying anything. I'll just look at them, be like, I don't see anything, man. I don't care. Or people would know me and know that I'm not the type of guy to be on that type of time, so they wouldn't even care. They'd just keep doing it. My only fear was being in there using a restroom while someone was doing it, and them seeing like an administrator walking in and being like, "Oh, this, that, and third, blah, blah, blah." And then I get pulled to the office later on, like, "Hey, why didn't you report this person doing it?" I was like, I would have just lied and been like, "Oh yeah, I was using the restroom. Yeah, I chose my bladder first, and then I had to go back to class. I was gonna report it in between classes." That's all you really have to do, right? But yeah, shout out to all them boys who like to hit that. Shout out to all them girls who like to hit that. I've dated girls who vape. Hey, if it's not killing you, and even if it is, you don't care, you're just living your life, you're not hurting anybody, I'm not the type of guy to hate like that. Appreciate you for watching to the end if you made it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like this stuff. And I got more videos like this. Go to my channel, check out a bunch of my other videos. But yeah, I'm out. I appreciate you. Deuce.